and investment wisdom collide, featuring your distinguished host and certified financial planner, Bart Zandbergen.
Welcome to our show of Dream Chasers and Wealth Makers. I am thrilled to be back in the studio today with a new episode of the Zandbergen Report. I'm proud to bring in the movers, shakers, and difference makers who are passionate about sharing what they have learned and what you need to know today. And today I am very pleased to have such a special person, very talented, very accomplished, Valentina Kahn. Valentina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And Paul, it's been a few weeks. It's actually good to see you.
See, you missed me. I knew you would here. You were out gallivanting around the world here, doing whatever you would have.
And tired of palm trees and beautiful ocean. I had to come back to see you.
Did you go to? Is that where you were? Did you go back to Tahiti or someplace?
I spent a little bit of time in Tahiti. I did indeed.
Wow, there you go. See, He just drops that in so casually. He starts by complimenting me, and then he has to remind us that he just came back from Tahiti.
Well. Let's just carry on here.
Let's carry on.
So, Valentina, I know that you've been very busy lately, but I'm so glad you took some time to be on the show. And I think your story and your business is very well timed. So let's get into that. You have a wonderful background, which we're going to talk about, but the company that you're representing is Investors Philanthropic, which I know is a charitable giving fund. We're going to talk about that, what type of fund it is and how it's differing from other funds and so forth. And then I know you're also managing director and host of The Joy of Giving, and I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah.
And of course, we need to talk about the fact that you are a bar dance instructor, and you created something really special there as well, correct?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's my passion.
All right.
The fitness studio led off the team.
So Paul is a big bar dancer. He doesn't like to talk about it, but
Oh my gosh.
Actually, I just go to the bar a lot. That's all I do. I go to the
which
bar.
bar are we talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. How should we start? First, I think, Valentina, you're kind of how you got to where you are today.
Sure.
I know you got your bachelor's degree, then you went to law school and you got a master's. So let's talk about that and how you ended up where you are, and then we'll kind of dig into what you're doing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, sure. So I am a native of Orange County, grew up in North Tustin, and I went to USC and then, listened to my parents who went to law school. And although I didn't truly, care for that profession much in terms of for my life career, I did enjoy that legal education and meeting all the wonderful people I did, who I'm still such great friends with. And then I got involved with interfaith work. After law school, I just thought, I need to get involved more with my community and kind of just dig deep and do something that feels really good for my heart and my soul. And I don't know, it was just calling me, just being with people and not arguing and not,
Complete opposite.
Totally opposite. Just kind of, I used my legal background for like structure and stuff, but nothing to go out and fight. I think fighting just hurts my heart, and some people are made for it, and hats off to my legal friends and lawyer friends, but I had that moment where I was like, I need to do more with my life in terms of giving back. So got involved with interfaith, which is like, in a nutshell, Buddhists, Hindus, Jews, Muslims, Christians, agnostics, atheists, and coming together and just kind of finding that common ground and building bridges. And that led me to getting a scholarship at Claremont to get my master's. And that was like a focus in nonprofit work and public speaking and like a leadership context. So from that, I kind of, spent my 20s in school and finding my way and wondering if I'll just study for the bar after that master's, and just, where I would go from there, because I never really knew there was an opportunity in the world of philanthropy. And so fast forward, I guess, after my master's, and I was invited to go into a real estate developer's office, family office here in Newport Beach, and kind of learn more about his philanthropic goals and passions. And it led us to the donor advised fund industry and space, and him inviting me to become his partner. And now here we are, and that is another story itself, but that's pretty much my last 5 years.
Well, it's so interesting how your two different worlds, one wouldn't expect them to collide as they did, but I think you said it. I think your legal training, I'm sure, was very helpful, because in the charitable world, there are contracts and T's to cross and I's to dot when it comes to that. And then, of course, knowing something about the tax laws.
Right.
And then your love and passion, I think, for just humanity I think
Absolutely.
has really helped with that. So let's, maybe for our listeners, I know you and I've had conversation about this, and we're both attuned to this, but investors or listeners may not be as aware of what a donor advised fund and how that compares to just straight out charitable giving compared to maybe some of the other. So
Sure.
do you want to start, and then we'll just kind of go back and forth?
Yes, would love to. So I also didn't know what it was. I dabbled in estate planning and charitable giving when I was thinking to become an attorney, and I had no idea what a donor advised fund was, 6-7 years ago. So what it is, it's actually an amazing tool for donors who care to be philanthropic, but also strategic in their philanthropy. The key to a charitable vehicle, and what we're called investors philanthropic, we're a 501c3. So any donor who gives to us directly, they get their immediate tax deduction. But the beauty of a charitable giving vehicle like Investors Philanthropic is that once you get your tax deduction, you can be strategic in the sense of how you want to give your money down the line. It can actually kind of marinate in your fund for an indefinite,
A long time, indefinite.
yeah,
Right?
indefinite period at the moment. And so you can allow your investment advisors, such as yourself, grow your fund. So if you start with 100,000 in 2020, it's year end, and you choose to give 100,000, get your immediate tax deduction, and you open your fund in your family name or your business name, then your investment advisor and you as a donor can strategize how to prudently invest it so it can grow over time. And you choose to visit it in 2 to 3 years, and that 100,000 is now suddenly 300,000. So now you have that 200,000 to potentially give away to a charity of your choice, and we help facilitate with that.
So my first takeaway there is you've set a really high bar to double or triple the money in 3 years. So
I know
that's a really high bar.
I'm a very hopeful person, Bart.
I like that. So here's some takeaways. I've been using donor advised funds with my clients for years, and one, the simplicity of them compared to many of the other vehicles make it very attractive. That kind of leads into convenience, but I think flexibility. And when you said indefinite, the thing that it didn't dawn on me until recently, it's indefinite such that you could really make it a legacy fund, because we're talking with some of our high net worth families now about, hey, you don't have to utilize this or deploy all of the funds prior to your death. It could be something that, your children that you would hopefully be on the same page, and they can continue to do the giving. And we've recently had some what we're calling family meetings with the client or the older generation with their kids, and trying to find where their passions align, and how they can continue to do this as a family and keep it going. So that, along with the concept, so that's the beauty of the philanthropic side. There's a beautiful tax benefit side too, because
Yeah.
we do tend to use these in years where clients have a big tax year, whether it be they've sold some stocks or a house or sold a company, something along those lines. And how I try to position it is, if this is a bigger tax year, and let's say someone's 60 years old, and say, okay, normal life expectancy, we'll even add some, let's say 30 more years is your life expectancy. Well, you're giving at such a rate right now. If you multiply that number times 30, that becomes a pretty big number.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, if they have a big event, like maybe they've sold a company, their future taxable years are probably not going to be so high. There's going to be some odd cases, but probably.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is try to calculate, all right, let's say you're giving, I don't know, 10 grand a year, times 30, that's $3 million. I may or may not want to put that much in, but if we use Valentina's
Model.
growth model, they don't have to put that much in. But in any event, obviously the money's invested. They take the tax deduction the current year, and then they're able to give at will to whom, as long as they're a bona fide 501c3, right? And so I think it's a great tax planning tool, and I just think it's a great overall philanthropic tool.
I absolutely, I've always known a philanthropy to be a big deal in our country. I mean, our country is a leader in essence in when it comes to philanthropy and giving back and being good stewards. So the fact that there has been this tool created that's far superior to a private family foundation even is really, really interesting. And I feel that people who are inclined to be charitable and philanthropic and have that tax savvy and strategic planning going on, they should consider looking into it, because it's very easy, as you said. The setup does not take long at all, and it's virtually $0 to set up a donor advised fund.
It's ridiculously easy to set up, and virtually no cost.
No cost. I mean, the costs are minimal, and so I like to, brag a little bit about ours since we are
please do.
Launch. We have analyzed and combed through the industry in terms of everybody's fees, and for a Newport Beach boutique donor advised fund, we are extremely competitive with our fees, and we're extremely motivated and inspired to learn about our donors and what they want to give back to. So we're local, easy to be in touch with, and you get me on the phone pretty much or in person. And I'm truly interested in learning about what the legacy, as you say, what families want to leave behind and how they want to teach their children and grandchildren about giving back. And that to me is a really important part of legacy giving. Yeah, that's really important to me as well.
The number of charitable tools or plans, you mentioned One Family Foundation, and there's, Charitable Remainder Trust, Charitable Lead Trust, all of which do have a great position and are useful. And I would encourage listeners to maybe email or send if they have questions. But if it boils down to someone who's looking for something that's just simple, easy, flexible, and gets a great tax deduction, I do believe it's the way to go.
Yeah, and I think, some people are really intimidated by it because, you might think you need to have a lot of money to start your own family fund. And in actuality, there are different brackets to enter into and get into a fund. And what I think is the most enticing thing is that your charitable dollars get stretched. So in 1 year, you'd like to give $5,000 to a nonprofit, and that's a wonderful thing. The nonprofit gets it instantly, and you're instantly helping them for that year. But then the next year, you have to start from scratch and again try and find those charitable dollars to give to a nonprofit that you love. What I think is fascinating about charitable giving vehicles like a donor advised fund is that you give your $5,000 to your donor advised fund, and then your investment advisor takes the strategy and reinvests it. So now you have those little gains, throughout the months and years, hopefully, if the market's doing well or real estate's doing well or, a CD does well, whatever it is, like you have more. So I just like that opportunity for somebody who's naturally a charitable person or family to be able to stretch their dollars for a longer period of time and have more to give. I just think that's just really smart to me and kind of basic.
Yeah, you hit on something. I think we can share this. So what is the minimum amount that your fund can accept?
So our fund is really flexible at the moment since we are brand new, and I am very interested in learning and meeting people, donors who are interested in this. So we started at a threshold of 10,000 and we realized that was a little low. So I would like to say anywhere between 10 to 25,000 is a entry fee for our donor advised fund. And yeah, I'm also really flexible. So we're not Fidelity, and they are as low as 5,000, but they're also extremely large and very corporate. And we're very, I want to say, concierge and boutique and Newport Beach and local. And I'm very one-on-one and hands-on. So it's a different kind of entity.
So I want to get into your joy of giving, but it occurred to me that we should probably share this. So once the money is donated into the donor advised fund, what investors have the ability to do, and with your fund, is they could, I'm sure you have a method where they will contact you and say, all right, Valentina, I want to, I put in $100,000. I want to send $5,000 to, ABC charity. And then you would direct a check to them, to the charity, as a benefit of the name of the fund and the giver, correct?
Right. So it could either be anonymous. So if the person doesn't want to be known, they can, it'll just say our name, Investors Philanthropic, on the check to that charity of their choice, or it'll have their family name written just beneath Investors Philanthropic's name on that check. So the nonprofit receiving those assets will know where it came from. So they'll direct their, their thank yous, etc., to the appropriate donor.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anything else on Investors Philanthropic before we move on? I want to make sure I covered everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you know, and your listeners probably are interested in, it's just for something to look into highly, because if you're a tax conscientious person, capital gains, you can eliminate your capital gains when you open a donor advised fund, as well as avoid inheritance tax. And it's just like a very cost effective, efficient, and headache free way to give. So if that's up your alley, I just highly recommend checking it out.
All right, great. Well, let's talk about Joy of Giving, the show that you're doing. Tell us about that.
Well, so, we realize that Investors Philanthropic, as awesome as it is, it's not exactly the most glamorous way to promote a new business. And so we combed through the internet and saw that in general, anything philanthropy related or charitable giving related and tax related, if you talk about philanthropy and taxes, is kind of cut and dry and a little bit not as entertaining. So the birth of Joy of Giving was brought about because we thought we want to be able to go out into the world and learn about people, businesses, and high profile people, as well as who they give back to. So we thought Investors Philanthropic is one thing, but it needs to become a little bit sexier, a little bit more attractive for social media purposes, because you can just talk about strategy and tax all day and probably put somebody to sleep. So we just thought, Joy of Giving, let's go out into the world and learn about where these donors, gifts will go to. So we basically teamed up with a variety of people who have been giving back. We interview them, we go to their galas or their events, fundraisers, and then we learn about who they are as business leaders in the community or as high profile people and what they're passionate about. So we've covered like Ronald McDonald House, Thomas House Shelter, Brent Shapiro Foundation, Standing United, OC Rescue Mission. I mean, just
wow.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful, that was 2019 when things were just
how's your 2020 been?
a dream compared to what's happening now, when we were actually able to meet face to face and go to events and learn. But
Yeah.
So
have you been able to participate in any of the virtual charity events, or through the Joy of Giving, or with the Joy of Giving?
We're actually starting to look into it now, because as you know, it's either the spring or fall that is the big times for all of these events to start happening. And so spring is when we were first struck with COVID-19 and everything was literally shut down, so that nothing was happening at all. But I think now people are starting to open up, and we are planning to attend and support and film as much as we can to try and highlight whatever they are raising money for. And
I know you're kind of new in the space, so this may not be a fair question, but what effects of COVID have you seen, other than the obvious, right? There's no events, but have you seen a slowdown in charitable giving from any maybe prior years, or what have you seen?
Sure, yeah, no, so I actually did a little bit of research for you because that's a great question. And we were planning to launch, early 2020. So that pushed our plans back for us personally. However, in the charitable giving space, there have been studies done to show that charitable giving is actually at the same pace as it was for
Really?
certain donors, like they're still giving the same amounts, and or they're giving more because of specific causes like COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, fires in the West Coast. So, and then there is a smaller, very small percentage of people who are not confident in the economy and, potential, hopefully not, but recession, etc. So they have slowed down their giving, but it's a very small percentage of people due to the uncertainty of the times. But other than that, it's about 50% of people are still at the same pace as they were in previous years. And if anything, another smaller percentage have upped the ante and started more. So
that's great news. And I will tell you a bit surprising for the kind of reason we just talked about. All the events that I know are known as big fundraisers have either not happened or gone virtual, and virtual events are about as fun as they can be, but not the same as showing up. So I would have thought that number would have been a lot less.
I think it's, because of charitable giving vehicles like donor advised funds that are reaching out to their donors and saying, these are the variety of nonprofits that we want to be giving to and that need our help. And either the donors are giving to the same causes that they've given to before, or they're giving to these newer causes, not newer, but causes that are in need of it right now. So it's very promising. It just shows that charitable giving is a major theme in our country. And even when we're going through a lot as a whole, we all still believe in helping out and giving back. And like I mentioned, being good stewards, that is a big theme of who we are as people, I believe.
Yeah. Let's switch gears again and talk about something really fun about this dance bar. So
oh my God.
I don't even know what bar. I've seen the signs. I'm not even exactly sure what bar is.
Oh, it's
other than the bars that Paul goes to, but the fitness bar.
So it's so funny because I was actually studying for the actual bar exam. Okay, this is ironic and the funny. It's like I was studying for the bar exam, and then at the same time I was attending these bar classes. So my parents were always so confused, like, what is she doing exactly?
Is she studying bar? Is she going to bar?
It was really funny. So for a small period of time. But what it is, it's really just a ballet bar, a wooden floor, or sometimes carpeted studios. There's big franchises like Bar Method, Pure Bar. And then there's little pop-ups like mine that was a part of Energy Bar. And basically I collaborated with this young USC entrepreneur, a few years back, okay, maybe like 10 years now. Gosh, time is just flying. And I was studying for the bar, went to his studio, said, hey, I am a yoga teacher and I love ballet and dance, and that's my background, and I need an outlet while I'm studying, so let me teach. And so he said, sure. And before I knew it, I realized that there was a need in our little neighborhood in Tustin for a bar studio, like an actual bar. So again, it's like ballet inspired, but it's got cardio in it with fun music.
Okay, so like ballet inspired with cardio, so you're moving.
Yeah.
And music.
And weights. And
and weights.
Oh yeah.
And stretching.
And we have males, so I think I need to invite you and Paul.
And Paul.
To my class when we officially open up. But yeah, so I just kind of studied it because I was obviously so not into studying for the other bar.
Yeah.
And I created I'm just taught that it was a really fun style of working out. It was just a lot of movement, fast music, fun music, and then you use this elegant ballet bar and do these elegant movements that are ballet inspired, but yet you're getting that cardio and that heart rate up. So I called it Dance Bar.
I'll tell you what would really encourage me to go is if I get to see Paul in like leotards or something like that. Is that the attire for men and women?
I'll tell you what, I'm planning and with Energy Bar to throw a Halloween bar party that we throw every year. And this year, obviously, because of the situation, we might have to throw it outdoors at the tennis club in Newport Beach, where it has a really nice green grass
Oh yeah.
area. Yeah. So I'm going to invite the two of you to come, not as spectators, but as
Oh,
Uh-oh. Do we have to wear a tutu? Do you have to wear like ballet clothes? And
well, it's Halloween, Paul, so you
Oh,
can
okay.
dress
All right.
however way you'd like.
well, that would be frightening enough if I showed up in tutus. Yeah.
And it'll be a party. It'll be a party afterwards. Workout first, and then party after.
Why did this
sounds
thing
fun.
BARRE? Why
Correct.
did this take off? Who is Bar? What is Bar? Is it just named after the ballet bar? This idea of using a ballet bar to balance yourself and move up and down and do exercises?
Yeah. So, I don't know, for a lot of women, that ballet physique is kind of, I don't know, not for most. For the women I've been around, because I've been around a lot of yogi and like Zumba and ballet people, seems like that
The only
ballet
yogi
bar-
I know was a bear a long time ago.
A Yogi
but
Bear, oh
that's
yeah,
okay.
sure. So yeah, that ballet bar for some reason really gets your body into shape, because you can use it for many different ways. You could stretch on it, and stretching is critical for like elongating your muscles and basically curving out your body is through stretching. And then you need your cardio, and then you need some weight resistance. So we kind of just combined all of it.
wow. That
And
sounds really good.
There you go.
it's fun. It's such a stress reliever, I tell you. And the music is loud, and the lights are off pretty much, and there's like disco lights, I guess. It's fun.
Right. I'm looking for my invitation. I'll come
Yeah.
check it out.
Don't you worry. You are. I'm gonna send it right away once we get our date set.
All right. We're actually, I've just looked down, we're running dangerously low on time. But one of the things I get to do is ask my listeners the ultimate thought question. And what, Valentina, what is your ultimate lesson learned? I'm just going to say in your adult life. Usually I go career, but in your adult life, because I want to say you evolved. I say that in a very positive, good way, as you've changed and transitioned. So what is the ultimate lesson learned in your adult life?
I want to say like the biggest lesson so far has been communication. Communication with people you work with, people you are in relationships with, people that you want to work with. Just being able to be yourself, be confident in who you are, and then communicate what it is you're looking to do. And always trying to find that collaboration between yourself and that person you're communicating with. That's how I got the dance bar started with my, fellow USC entrepreneur 10 years ago. And that's how I kind of landed into the interfaith space, and then got a master's with Claremont. It was just lots of collaboration and communication. And then that's how I ended up in this philanthropic space, was just communicating what I was looking to do with my life, and finding the right people who were willing to guide me along and believe in me, and then meeting the right people for Joy of Giving. I mean, it took a lot to find the right team members to come and film and take time out of their lives and their busy schedules to show up to an event or a gala or a fundraiser and follow me along with a camera or coach me on how to be, in front of a camera. And it's like, I just feel like nonstop communicating and learning how to speak with people and getting your ideas across and understanding their ideas and meeting in the middle is just critical. So I think collaborating and communicating is the way to go, whether business or doing good, giving back, or just living life.
That's a great answer. What would you tell your younger self? What would you tell your 14-year-old self?
Oh my gosh, my 14-year-old self. Wow, that's such a funny and good question at the same time. I would tell my younger self, like, there's no rush. I was in such a rush.
Good one.
Oh my gosh, enjoy it.
You're an overachiever, aren't you? Obviously.
No, but I was like in a rush to be in relationships. I was in a rush to get married. I was in a rush to find the right person. I was in a rush to grow up and go to, 18 and over events, or I was in a rush to move out of my parents' house. Gosh, just don't
Great
rush.
answer. Great answer.
Enjoy, because you have your whole. It seems like adult life lasts forever.
Yeah.
And now we have to rush her answer. So she's in a rush again here.
Yep, we're almost done. All right, but I have one more question. I have to ask you this one. You're
Sure.
so tiny, you're so put together, it's so pretty. What is your guilty pleasure?
Oh my God, that's so good. That's a good one. Chocolate cookies.
Really?
Oh, chocolate chip cookies.
Great.
Everybody who knows me knows I go to the Lost Bean every day. That's my little shop in Tustin. I get my Americano and my chocolate chip cookie, and sometimes they have to stop me because I make them. I'm like, you guys, I've reached my quota for the week. Don't let me have another cookie. It's my thing. It's my thing. Have a good
Wow. Okay. I love that. Very, very good.
Anytime you want to have a chocolate chip cookie, Bart, call me. I am
Right.
the girl.
All right. I see that. I can hear that. All right, Valentine, this has been a really, really great time. So thank you so much for all the information that you shared, both personally and about what you're doing. I think it's really, really valuable. So thank you for your time.
And how do we spell her name
Oh,
and the
good.
organization so they can
Thank
find her?
Thank you, Paul. Valentina, could you please let people know how they can reach you? What the best way to reach you on the stuff we talked about today?
Absolutely. So they can email me at vk@investorsphilanthropic.org. vk@investorsphilanthropic.org. And we're also on Instagram, and I'm always on there, so they can DM me, look us up at Joy of Giving IP. So Joy of Giving.
And if they want to look you up on social media and LinkedIn or whatever, how do they spell it, your first and last name?
Oh, Valentina, Valentina, Con, K for Catherine, H for Henry, A for Apple, N for Nancy.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure here.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Paul, for bailing me out on that one. God, I'm getting a little rusty here. It's out a few weeks. All right. Thanks again, Valentina. Thank you, Paul. And thanks for all the listeners who tuned in this week. And we look forward to being back in the studio again next week. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Thank you both.
Tune in next week for the latest edition of the Zandbergen Report, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Catch up on our recent shows by visiting bartzandbergen.podbean.com. The Zandbergen Report is also available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Interested in being a featured guest on our show or have a question you'd like to hear us answer? Email podcast@bartzandbergen.com. Bart A. Zandbergen, CFP, and Letitia Burbaum, AIF, are registered investment advisors with Optivest Inc. and registered representatives with Gramercy Securities Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered by Optivest Inc. under SEC registration.